Since the defeat of ISIS in northern Iraq, changes are happening rapidly. The people of Kurdistan passed a resolution for independence, but the presence of Shiite militias and Iran could pose the next threat to peace in the region. In the heart of western Mosul, devastated by the battle to defeat ISIS, we spoke with Middle East analyst Jonathan Spire about these changes and what they mean for the region and the world. Jonathan, we've been in many places in Jerusalem, but the first time here in Iraq, right in the center of Mosul. What's your reaction being here?
Well, this is not my first time in Mosul. I was here in April at the time when the Iraqi forces had just reached the Tigris River and western Mosul still remained to be conquered. Looking round, of course, what we're looking at is the action that took place since then, as ISIS was driven back all the way to the al-Nuri mosque, where Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi declared the so-called and now defunct caliphate back in June 2014. That's just about 200 meters in that direction to our right is where the remains of the al-Nuri mosque is. So my thoughts are really what we're looking at here, this devastation that we can see around us, is the price that it took to destroy that most vile of projects that was declared in this city in June 2014, calling itself the Islamic State. This is the cost, this is the price, this destruction is what it took to turn that thing, you know, from a reality back into just an idea again.
What do you think about the future, not only for Mosul, but this part of Iraq?
Well, my sense, unfortunately, Chris, is that, yeah, the Islamic State is now, of course, dying and will be destroyed. Unfortunately, its demise will not solve, I think, many of the core problems that caused it to come into being. That is to say, the sectarian nature of Iraqi life, the sharp divisions, deep divisions between Shia Arab Iraqis and Sunni Arab Iraqis, the fact that the country is now dominated by the Shia, and the largely Sunni population of Mosul, when it comes back, I'm afraid will be no more satisfied than it was when it welcomed, and it largely did welcome, ISIS into the city back in the summer of 2014. The core issues remain unresolved, and there unfortunately are no signs that they're about to be resolved. We've been witnessing today the presence of the Shia, the Iran-supported Shia militias right here in Mosul city, Iran-supported sectarian forces. They're not going to be the ones that are going to be able to bring a better future to Iraq, but they represent the power right now in this country, unfortunately.
Where after the Kurdish referendum for independence, what's your sense what's next after the referendum?
Well, my sense is that the Kurds mean to go full speed ahead. That's certainly been my impression from the conversations I've had with Kurdish officials. And the sense is that the Kurds mean to turn that into a momentum and to move towards practical negotiations towards independence as soon as possible. What we're witnessing, of course, is a very sharp reaction to that from Baghdad. And my sense from the Kurdish side, though, is they feel they've got sort of wind in their sails right now and they mean to push forward towards independence. Frankly, what they want is out of the system that produced all this destruction. They don't want to be part of Iraq anymore. They want to have a chance to build their own country.
Mm-hmm. What about the U.S.? What role does that have in a post-referendum Kurdish referendum?
I think the U.S. has a huge role. That's to say, much will depend on the stance that the United States now chooses to take. The United States, of course, was opposed to the referendum, controversially. Many people felt that after the service that the Kurds had rendered, in a way, humanity in fighting and defeating ISIS in the plains of northern Iraq, they perhaps deserved their chance at a political future of their own. The U.S. was dead set against it. What much will depend now on how the US will respond to the Iraqi attempt to take a hard line against the Kurdish move towards independence. If the United States offers some form of tacit support towards the Kurds, it can be full speed ahead. If not, then I'm afraid things can get pretty tough around here again in the years ahead.
We were in Bartilla and we saw a lot of Shiite militia, and we saw one particular Shiite militia that you thought was quite significant. What does that mean, and what's the future of Christians in there?
Well, the militia we saw was the Badr organization. We saw a poster of its leader, Hadi al-Amiri. This is a very senior pro-Iranian Shia operative here in Iraq, and the fact that his militia appears to have a presence of some kind in Bartella is not good. It's not good from anybody's point of view, but I suspect it's also particularly not good from the point of view of Christians in that traditionally Christian town. We were hearing today from Christians in Bartella the presence of an increasingly aggressive Shia population around the town, and the sense that they no longer feel welcome, they no longer feel able to live their lives peacefully as they once did.
Anything you'd like to add,
Jonathan?
Not really. Just to reiterate once again, I think when we look at the destruction around here, what we see is the price it took to defeat ISIS, and we shouldn't forget who it was that defeated ISIS. Certainly, also the Shia militias played their role. We need to, give them recognition for that. But also, we should remember the role played by the Kurdish fighters, vital, not in the city itself, but in pushing ISIS back towards the city. And when they sort of come to the West and say, well, we did something for humanity and we want something in return, I think we should be prepared to listen to that.
Yeah.